Good morning. Thank you for being here today. It's good to be here today with a message that has become familiar for us, standing together, which is that crime is down in Salt Lake City. Year to date, crime is down 15% citywide. From property crimes to violent crimes, we continue to see a notable reduction in crime across most categories. I am grateful for the work of our Salt Lake City Police Department officers. They're working hard to prevent crime where possible, and they're getting dangerous criminals off of the streets. One noteworthy recent incident involved our Central Bike Squad, who located some firearms in a vehicle of a restricted person, including a handgun that had been modified to make it fully automatic. These types of weapons have no place in any community. And the proactive work of our Salt Lake City police officers is what's making our neighborhoods safer. But it doesn't stop there. We need these partners. And the partnership here has led to nearly 300 of the most violent criminals in our community being arrested and now facing serious time behind bars, an average of almost 4 years. This is equated to 343 guns coming off the streets, more than 10 kilos of meth, and $50,000 in cash. That's the result of the Project Safe Neighborhoods team. As much as I celebrate these wins, I know that there are many in our community who have experienced crime. There is no tolerable amount of crime in this city. And we want everyone to know that we will never stop. We are not done. And every day we are innovating, even with these partners, to make sure we are getting the criminals off the streets at the highest rate we can and preventing crime as much as we can. Again, I appreciate our law enforcement officers. They have a complicated, dangerous job, and they show up every day, 24 hours a day, to protect this city, and the results are paying off. Thank you to Salt Lake City Police Department. I'm going to turn the time over now to Chief Brown. Following Chief Brown, you'll hear from U.S. Attorney for the District of Utah, Trina Higgins, followed by Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Salt Lake City District Office of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency Administration. That's the longest title ever, Dustin Gillespie. And then the U.S. Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives Special Agent in charge, Brent Bugers. And they can repeat their titles for you.
Good morning. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Mayor Mendenhall. Gun violence continues to pose a threat to our public safety here in Salt Lake City. As we have seen across the country, and as recent as yesterday here in our own community, shootings and other gun-related incidents can cause harm and kill innocent people. My deepest condolences go out to the family of the young girl killed yesterday in Glendale after she was shot and killed by her brother. As a father of 3 young boys, I can't imagine the pain that family is going through right now. Our investigation is ongoing, and we will provide updates on this case as it develops. Gun violence can also create fear in our communities. That is why the Salt Lake City Police Department is committed to improving the safety and well-being of the communities we serve. We are fortunate to have strong partnerships of the Department of Justice and its Project Safe Neighborhoods. Reducing gun violence is a top priority of the Salt Lake City Police Department and our federal partners. Because of Project Safe Neighborhoods and the work of our officers, our federal partners, and the people, the many, many people behind the scenes, we are promoting public safety, we are enforcing the law, and we are doing everything we can to help prevent future gun violence. Last month, our detectives seized 12 firearms that were illegally in our community. These guns were taken off the street in part of 2 separate investigations. There is an unending commitment by our officers to keep our community safe. Our approach to gun violence is multifaceted. Not only does our approach require enforcement, but it also mandates the community engagement and education. Our department works with community organizations to provide gun locks and gun education. I cannot reiterate enough on the heels of what we saw yesterday a 13-year-old girl being killed. Why it is so important that gun owners ensure their firearms are secured and that children cannot access either the firearm or ammunition. There is no one-size-fits-all approach to gun violence. That's why the Salt Lake City Police Department is committed to the strategies we have in place now and those in the future to holistically address gun violence and gun crime. Our approach includes continuing to host gun buyback programs. Recently, we hosted a gun buyback that collected nearly 40 firearms, including components to a 3D printed gun. I want to thank our federal partners and Mayor Mendenhall. Salt Lake City is fortunate to have such strong partnership and such strong leadership. The work we are doing is paying off. We are fostering trust within our communities, and we are targeting the most violent offenders in our communities. As our city grows, the responsibility we have to help ensure the safety of our community grows as well. As the police chief, that is my number one priority. The PSN partnerships we have is a model for other jurisdictions and other cities. And it would not be possible without the hard work of the officers and federal partners. So to them, I say thank you. Every day you expose yourself to danger and situations that are unpredictable and physically and emotionally taxing. You do your jobs professionally and bravely. You meet and exceed the challenges in front of you every day, on every call. And for that, I say thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Mendenhall and Chief Brown, for having us here today. I'm Trina Higgins, the United States Attorney for the District of Utah. The Department of Justice has recently strengthened our Project Safe Neighborhoods program and re-emphasized the importance of our partnerships with local leaders and local law enforcement. Project Safe Neighborhoods Salt Lake City is a great example of how effective these partnerships can be and how these partnerships improve our ability to address and to prevent gun violence. By removing firearms from felons and other violent offenders, we are preventing future violence. The statistics show that we are making a difference. By combining the resources and the knowledge of our federal agencies with our local agencies, we are improving our ability across the board to be able to protect the citizens, every citizen who lives in this community. I want to thank Mayor Mendenhall for her leadership of this program, and of course I want to thank the law enforcement agencies involved in this program, Salt Lake City Police Department, ATF, and DEA, for their continued commitment to this program and their continued willingness to give us the resources that we need and the support that we need to make this the most effective program it can possibly be. But most importantly, I want to thank those individual officers. I spent 20 years of my career working with PSN officers. I prosecuted hundreds of Project Safe Neighborhoods cases myself. And I know the work that goes into that. I know the work of the individual officers and the agents who work tirelessly to protect our neighborhoods. And I know that they are making our communities safer. So thank you.
Good morning. I'm Assistant Special Agent in Charge Dustin Gillespie of the Drug Enforcement Administration's Utah office. Thank you, Mayor Mendenhall, USA Higgins, and Chief Brown for hosting today's event. It's my pleasure to be here with you and our law enforcement partners. You've heard about the impact of Project Safe Neighborhoods already, but there is one point that I would like to underscore today. Drug trafficking is a frequent and common partner to violent crime. Many of the local gangs and other violent criminal organizations finance their operations by selling illegal drugs in our neighborhoods. They are threatening our communities and poisoning our neighbors with fentanyl. Fentanyl is lethal in the smallest of doses, and make no mistake, it is the deadliest drug threat facing our state and our nation. Criminal organizations disguise fentanyl in pills and add it to other substances to drive addiction throughout our country. They use ruthless and violent tactics to assert control over territory and drug distribution networks, all while lining their pockets with profits. While the DEA strives to make a local impact in our communities by targeting the most violent criminal traffickers here in the Valley, the drug trafficking activity undoubtedly expands our cases to a national and international level. It is in this realm that the DEA Salt Lake City office aims to identify, disrupt, and dismantle the primary drug cartel conspirators that supply drugs to the local gangs and violent criminals wreaking havoc in our neighborhoods. As I stated, it is important for the public to know that drug trafficking activity goes hand in hand with that of gang and violent criminal organizations. The Project Safe Neighborhoods program is an excellent and comprehensive strategy to combat these criminal elements, and it is the privilege of the DEA Salt Lake City office to participate in this important endeavor. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Brent Beavers. I'm the Special Agent in charge for ATF Denver Field Division. The Denver Field Division covers Colorado, Montana, Wyoming, and Utah. I want to thank Mayor Mendenhall, Chief Brown, U.S. Attorney Higgins for having me here. I'm actually new to the team, but our commitment at ATF is not new. It is unchanged. We are going to continue to support our state, local, and federal partners as we work to combat violent crime with the PSM program. As you all are aware, the PSM program generally targets gang members, legal firearms possession, and drug trafficking. These cases really make a difference in our community, and we will provide tools such as ATF tracing to identify the story of a gun, learn a little bit more. Maybe the gun has it's a one case, but maybe it expands out to more cases. We'll use NIBIN, the National Integrated Ballistics Information Network, also a way to learn a story about a firearm and maybe look at a bigger organization. So we're going to continue to use these resources to combat violent crime in your community and continue to make this program as successful as it has been. Thank you.
Are there any questions for us?
Mayor, can you clarify the statistics you gave in the beginning that the
Sure.
were arrested? Was it
Yeah.
over what period of time that's from?
This is since we initiated, which I believe was January of '21. And is it 293 currently?
295.
295. We've had 343 guns taken off the street, more than 10 kilos of meth, and $50,000 in cash.
And Chief, you talked about the incident yesterday, and you talked about why it's so important for firearms to be secured. Can you say, did the brother get a hold of an unsecured firearm in the house that belonged to somebody else?
This case is very fresh and still in the investigative stage, so right now we're not commenting on that. But as it progresses and we learn more and can share more, we will.
I want to reiterate what Chief said. We've come here many times before you to talk about the successes of Project Safe Neighborhoods. Then we have gun buyback programs, or any day that this public safety building is open, people can come in here and buy gun locks to secure their firearms at home. We need to start connecting these pieces, because the firearms that were confiscated by our Central Bike Squad, for example, they were in the possession of a restricted person. These were not legally held firearms. And that's a large part of the focus of this team's efforts, is finding people who are restricted from having firearms, should not have them in the first place, and therefore are coming into acquisition of them in an illegal way. We need to connect the opportunity of people at home who may feel disconnected from the 295 individuals that are behind bars now because of this partnership, to the vulnerability of their own guns at home, and the opportunity, the need that we have as a community to make sure that they're secure in every home.
So, next question, I ask this a lot, but where are the guns coming from? Are they still from vehicle and home burglaries, or is there still an emphasis on residents to lock up their guns? How are these people obtaining guns illegally?
Yes, to everyone, everywhere. They're coming from everywhere. We know through the pandemic that we had a historic high number of guns sold in this country. I mean, millions of guns. Many guns were not secured properly. They've made their way to the street. Some have been stolen out of homes, some out of cars, but nonetheless, they're in the hands of people that shouldn't have them. That's why every time I stand at this podium, I tell people, secure your guns. Make sure they're safe. And the ammunition as well. Look, talk to your parents, like the mayor's talking about. There has to be an education component to this. Talk to your kids. Tell them, educate them about gun safety. If you'll give me just a minute, I'll tell you, my kids, my boys, when he was a young boy in elementary school, I sat down and I talked to him about guns. Don't touch a gun, don't pick up a gun. And you never know what your kids are listening to. I mean, he can't pick his backpack up and put it in his bedroom if I say it every day. But he called me one day after he got home from school and he said, "Hey, Dad, I found a gun on the way home from school." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." Anyway, I said, "Don't touch it." He says, "I didn't." I said, "When we get home, you can show me." So I got home. He ran out to the car and met me. We drove down our street and he said, "Right here, Dad." And he went over and he said, "I put some leaves on top of it to make sure nobody would find it." So, still very skeptical, I brushed the leaves aside, and sure enough, right there on the street in my neighborhood is a loaded 9mm gun. I couldn't be prouder that he listened to me, and he didn't pick up the gun, but he listened. So my cry is to parents, please talk to your kids. You'll be surprised at what they're listening to.
Chief, you mentioned that one of the guns you found was a handgun that was modified to be automatic. How many automatic guns have you found or confiscated?
In our gun buyback, we haven't taken in any full automatic guns, but we've taken back quite a few semi-automatic assault rifles.
What about through the program, the 343 from PSI?
Oh, you know what? I don't have those numbers. And maybe you know those. We can get that for you. Yeah, that's a good question.
I can't say that.
Brent, will you come up to their mic so they can use it?
I can't say that nationally with conversion devices where a semi-automatic handgun has been converted to fully automatic, I would estimate almost a 500% increase in the last year in those type of firearms nationally. They're definitely, we're trying to, from ATF standpoint, we're trying to get out and educate law enforcement partners about them. They're dangerous not only to the public, but they're also dangerous to law enforcement. Our officers are encountering them when they seize them. The technology is becoming better and better. They're harder to recognize. They're dangerous all around. So we're working, as I mentioned, to educate both the public and law enforcement with these devices. But there has been a significant increase nationally with them. So we can find out locally, but we, across the country, we are seeing an increase in that type of device. So.
I'm going to just harp on it a little bit longer. This is about families. This is about kids. Kids in America today are more likely to die by shooting than any other cause of death. This is about our kids. Kids killing kids. Violence from kids. This is about families. This isn't just about the hardened criminals that the DEA and ATF are taking off the street. That's our call out. I mean, this is a great partnership. We're going to keep going. We're going to put criminals behind bars. But our work is going to continue to escalate as long as we have all these unsecured weapons out in the community and they're getting in the hands of kids.